So just pull that up. And then we have our 2 dolls inside. Hi everybody, it's Queen Jelly here, and welcome back to my toy box. This is a doll and toy themed YouTube channel that is meant for adult collectors such as myself. I do my best to keep it family friendly around here, but I do just want you to keep that in mind. I also like to separate my videos into small segments. So we'll start with a little bit of a chat, then we'll go onto the desk, we'll look closer at the box, then we'll unbox the dolls. I'm actually going to step off and dress them, but if you want to see more information about dressing the dolls, please just let me know in the comments down below and I'll make a separate video. And then at the end we'll come back and we'll do a review. At the very end, I'll insert some pictures of the dolls, as well as a clip or a photo of what unboxings we'll do after this one. We'll go ahead and get started. Today's video is going to be a review of my first ever pennies box dolls. So lately I've been on a really big BJD kick. I kind of got back into the hobby after a partner of mine got me a new mystery box. I had never gotten BJDs as like a mystery box thing before, and now I like can't stop. I'm like addicted to them. It's all I watch right now. And these ones I actually purchased off of Amazon, regrettably, which I will go into that right now. As you can see, they do say that they are Kika Goods exclusives. So I wish that I had just purchased them off of Kika Goods. They are still available on there. But I did purchase them off of Amazon. So technically I bought them, resale, because these are the official ones. You can see this design here. And like, yes, I know that it says limited with a Y, but these are the real deal. I promise. But these stickers are added for being from Amazon. So the reason I did it the way I did it and ordered these from Amazon and not from Kika Goods was because I had gotten that first one as a gift. Then I had ordered some secondhand, and then I ordered a case from Kika Goods of the cat TVs, which are already on my channel. And then I wanted something that kind of came in between those things, because I wanted everything to come in a little like every 2 weeks or so. So this was supposed to come in like 2 to 3 days, kind of get me like started on like collecting and getting used to like unboxing them and that kind of stuff. As you can see, like I said, the cat TVs end up going up on my channel first because these became a pain in the butt. So I did price them out, and they were only a couple extra dollars to get them from Amazon than they would be to get them from Kika Goods. Mind you, that's after shipping. Before shipping, they're much cheaper, but after shipping and everything, because it is international shipping, and they have free shipping over $30, but it's never worked on any of the BJDs that I've gotten. They always say like this, because of the size of this, it doesn't apply. I don't really care, but it's just something to note. They were a couple dollars more, but they were supposed to come in 2 days instead of 2 weeks. Ordered them. Somehow they did not get delivered. They got marked as undeliverable and sent back. Fine. At that point, when the post office says these are undeliverable, that should have started the refund process. It does not. You know what it does? It says, well, there was an issue, so come back in 3 days. And it doesn't tell you what the issue was. You have to like hunt down to find out what the issue was, which is when I found out it was undeliverable. And they mean end of 3 days, like 8 o'clock my time, end of night. That's when they'll finally do something. So they said, okay, well, it's been 3 days. In 5 days, if you don't get a refund, come back. 4 days later, delivered. What? They're not delivered. They're not here. We were undeliverable. What do you mean? Information. Delivered to New York. Hi, Amazon. Are, my items being refunded to me because they were delivered to New York. And as you can see, I don't live in New York. So can I please get my refund? Call us back tomorrow. We can't do anything for you today. Call us back tomorrow. Tomorrow's not going to change anything, but okay. Wait 24 hours. Call them back. Hey, so I was told to call you today to get my refund for my items that were undeliverable over a week ago. Okay, we can give you that refund, but we'll also have to send you a shipping label. So if they show up, you have to send them back to us, or we'll recharge you. I'm sorry? You're going to recharge me if I don't send them back to you? You're the ones that never delivered them to me, so how am I supposed to send them back to you? And here you are probably wondering, well, then what are these that you have in your hand, if this is your story with these? I reordered them because this was taking way too long and I wanted these dolls. So after 2 days, when the shipping said undeliverable, immediately I reordered them. And then in 3 days later, which also was longer than the original shipping, but whatever, I don't care. 3 days later, these arrived at my door, no problem. So these arrived just fine. Why did it take over a week to get a refund for the other set? And still essentially being threatened that they may charge me again for the other ones. Even though the shipping literally says delivered to Liverpool, New York. And they have access to my files that tell them exactly where I live and where it was meant to be sent. And I have no addresses, nor have ever sent anything to Liverpool, New York. So why would they think that I have it to send it back to them? So that's why I don't recommend it, purchasing off of Amazon if you don't have to. Because Kika Goods, on the other hand, will literally contact factories for you and get replacement parts. At least that's what they said they're doing. We'll find out in a couple weeks if that's actually true, because my cat TVs, again, if you watch that video, I'm missing a couple parts and they said they're going to be replacing them. If they do, if they don't, I don't care. Their customer service is great either way, because at least they tried. And they also have an option that's only 99 cents and they'll cover lost or stolen items. So I've been adding that to every one of my orders since I found that, because that's great. Amazon doesn't have that. You have to fight tooth and nail to get anything fixed there. So definitely do not recommend ordering off of Amazon. But that's what I had to do to get them in what I thought was going to be a timely manner, and it wasn't, and everything ended up coming up about the same time. So because the stuff from Mercari that said it was going to take a month, and the cat TVs that said they were going to take 2 weeks, all ended up coming in about the same week. So the whole ordering one so that they were spread out, just, yeah. But I'm not here to complain. I just had to get that out there. We're not going to use that against these dolls though, because they're gorgeous from what I've seen. So I'm ready to go ahead and just get them open and get that part of their story behind them and get moved on to the real story, which is the dolls themselves. While I'm doing that though, please don't forget to do all the fun YouTube things like, comment, and subscribe. It really does help out the channel. Especially anything even as simple as a like can really show that you support the channel and means we could potentially get some support in the future. So I really appreciate you, and I'll see you soon. Okay, and here we are on the desk. So this is going to just be a quick unboxing portion. Then I'm going to go get them dressed, and then I will come back and show all the details once they're fully dressed. But again, full disclosure, I did purchase this off of Amazon from a secondhand seller. So it is technically a Kika Goods exclusive set, but I did not purchase it from them. Although I am now regretting that I didn't. It says Penny's box up here, and then it has some Chinese characters, and then it has the image of our two dolls, which is Epilog and Prolog, and it says Winter Limited, Kika Goods exclusive. On the bottom, it says Penny's box here, and that side as well, and then on the back, and this is, I believe, stickers from Amazon. This definitely is. It says this is a set, do not separate, because they do sell these as individual dolls for a little bit more than if you purchase them together. I don't remember the price off the top of my head, so I will check that in between the sections. This again, I believe, is a sticker from Amazon because they're covering up the original barcode, but there are some QR codes here along with the information. Antu Winter Limited series, Spirits of the Book, Prolog, and Epilog. It's really the only information that's relevant right now, but here it is if you want to read any of it. And then here is the sticker that is lenticular, that kind of shows that it's an official set. And then there is this box here showing that, or this sticker here showing that it is completely sealed. So just pull that up. And then we have our two dolls inside. I did pay $64.49, something like that, $65 for the set of 2. And I think if you buy them as individuals, they're $37, give or take. So it's a little bit cheaper if you buy them as the set of 2. Which makes sense. They can't guarantee that they'll sell the other ones, so it makes more sense that they would incentivize you to buy both. Because otherwise I probably would have just bought this one, to be honest. I do really like the red accents on this one, but this one is definitely more my aesthetic. On this side we have a bunch of Chinese characters, which if I can get the translation, I will insert a picture of. And then on the back, same information that was on the back of the set of 2, same sticker. Here's the QR codes. And then on the front is an image of the doll. And from my understanding, this is actually the card as well. So this part can come out and then it'll be a clear window here. And it says Winter Limited, although they spelled limited wrong, but I believe that's just a translation thing, because even on videos from people that bought them from Kika Goods, they have that misspelling. So this is definitely just a resold version. And so then same thing on this side, information here. Information on the back, again the same stuff, and the QR codes, but just in white instead of in this like red to black tones. We'll go ahead and pop this one out. I'm just gonna cut that, but it's the same Penny's box sticker. I'm not too worried about these because again we know which ones they are, so it's not like a big like surprise like the mystery ones are. But like I said, this part does come out, and then it's kind of this like character sheet kind of poster type thing, and then you could have a window here if you want to display her back in the box, which I think would be kind of fun. And then of course we have our doll in her plastic container along with her staff. And then we have her parts, which she has regular hands, and then she has gloved hands, which is probably what I'm going to put on them. And then she has ears that magnetic on, as well as a tail. There is actually a series of dolls that these are kind of based off of. I will put in the description some videos that I've watched of other people unboxing the series that these are based on, because I don't really have intent on getting those series. I'm not really happy with the majority of the dolls in that set enough to be worth it. They are cute, don't get me wrong, but just like I have to be very particular because otherwise it'll get expensive really fast. But these dolls up here actually are the dolls from the base series. And like I said, I will put a link down below. They don't know that I'm putting that link there. It's not like, you know, an affiliate with that other YouTuber or whatever. It's just because I don't have these to show you, so I'm putting links down there so that you can see them if you're interested. And then here on the back is instructions specifically about these dolls. Again, it's all in Chinese, so I'm not able to read it for you, but there is images with everything, which is very helpful. And then here is her bag of clothing, which again, we'll look at once it's on her. And then these also come with this little standee, which is like an extra gift because of these being like a special edition, which I think is really cute. So this is instead of like a character card. Again, the combination of these two is kind of your collector's card kind of thing. But I really like these acrylic standees. So we'll put her to the side and pop open this one. So this should be epilog, because I believe the white one is prolog and the black one is epilog. If I am wrong, I will let you know when I get back. Again, we have the same thing with her, which is this sheet here in the center. And then the acrylic standee, which one I will put these together and I'll show you those as well in the second section. And then her bag of accessories, which she has ram horns and then a little tail. And she also has a couple spare sets of hands, as well as the gloved hands, which do have a grippy hand because they do come with the accessory. And then this is her clothing. I have seen reviews for these, and if you order them from Kika Goods, sometimes they will also include a bodysuit that's the anti-staining clothing. I'm not seeing that here. That's okay. Like, I'm not that concerned about it. It wasn't listed as coming, but and then here, of course, is our doll in her plastic container. And then there's her staff on the side as well. So let me just pop them out really quick so we can see a close-up of them before I go and get them dressed. So here they are. They are the same skin tone, but they do have different faces. Same sculpt, looks like. No, it looks like Epilog has a little bit more of the sleepy eyes, as opposed to Prolog has the full open eyes. They both do have red eyes though. And then Prolog has white like lashes and some stars underneath her eyes. And then Epilog has some spiders underneath. And they do have the bit of follow me eyes. They both have the horns, which is pretty, like almost all of the Antunes that I've seen at least have like this horn. So that's kind of like their brand signature. I do really like her hair though, because it is kind of this like see-through red. And then she also has kind of a semi-opaque hair in the back. But because of it being white, it's still pretty thick, but you can kind of see like the idea of it. If you like look here, you can kind of see through it. And I just want to show you really quick that these are ball jointed dolls. So they have heads that are removable, but they also are string. So there is an elastic running through the body that holds them together for their articulation. And then these ones have, these have an eye set. So these are locked in. They're not like held in with like putty. They should still be removable if you want to customize them. They're pretty good about that. But they are one solid like eye sheet rather than being held in with the putty. And because of them being able to like take off their hair like this, let me show you her face up close without the hair. You can switch them for like kind of like mix and match / like customizability. While I have the head apart, I want to show you these magnets right here. This is what you'll be using to hold those accessories on. So like the ears and the ram horns, they have the magnets in there, the heads. But then this piece just snaps on. And so there is Prolog's face with Epilog's hair. And you should be able to pretty much do that with any penny box dolls that's in this same scaling. I'm going to go get them dressed. If you're interested in seeing a video about the dressing process on these dolls, please let me know in the comments down below. And even if you're not, just let me know down below which one of these two is your favorite off of first impressions. And then we'll check back in at the end. So here is Prolog and Epilog completely dressed. I do have to say that these are actually two of the easiest dressings that I've done on any of the BJDs I've opened so far, which hasn't been a lot, but it's still been the easier than either the Cats or the 10,000 Escape Plans, because I did have to take off her hair just because it's so big, but I really didn't have to take much off. I did switch out their hands because I like the glove hands. The only thing that I had a hard time with are the magnetic ears, mostly because of the headpiece. So I'm probably not going to leave the magnetic ears on them when I'm displaying them, just because the headpiece can kind of push them off, and you can't even really see them anyway, depending on how you put it. And then getting them to hold the staffs. So they do have a grippy hand, but it doesn't actually like curve. Especially this one has such small wiggles to the staff, where this one has a kind of a big one. So right now they are tacked to their hands. That's the only way that they're keeping them in. But this one can kind of hold it on her own without the tack, but this one definitely cannot hold her staff at all. Now these are based off the Cute Beast series by Antu. As I said before, I will link a playlist down below of some other channels that I've watched unbox those dolls. So forgive me if I get part of it wrong, but from what I can tell, she has the hamster ears and tail, but the goat hair. And then she has the, and the hamster face. And then she has the goat tail and horns, the goat face, but the cat's hair. So I know I talked about it a couple other times in the video, so please ignore those comments. But I just wanted to point out that this one actually appears to be the same as the hamster staff, just with the heart crystal from the other two in it, because you can kind of see like how it sprays out. It has the two bumps on the back and then has the wings, but then like I said, has the heart crystal in the middle. And then this one appears to be the same shape as the rare design, but with the other crystal inside. So this one has the heart and this one has a separate crystal. So they're kind of a mishmash of different dolls from that series, using the same parts but different colors. But I do kind of like that they are completely like mixed and not just complete recolors of one or the other. And she has the hoven feet and she has the paw feet. If I got any of those specifics wrong, like I said, I don't own these dolls. Please let me know in the comments down below which like specific parts these one, or which specific characters these parts came from. But what we're gonna do now is we're gonna look at each of them close up. But first I wanna just show you really quickly that I noticed the things that they kind of had in common. So their outfits are the same design. The only difference really is mostly the color, and then that this one has a little bit thinner and longer sleeves, but otherwise their construction is pretty much the same. They have a dress with an extra layer underneath, and then a little shirt with a gem at the collar, and then they have these socks which tie in the back. Right now I have them kind of loosely tied, so that's why the strings are kind of so long. You can probably make that prettier, but this is kind of how I have. And then of course, like I said, they both have headpieces and they both have staves, but their staves and headpieces are designed differently. But I really like that they basically have like the same outfit, so they really look like a matching set. So we'll start with Prolog. Prolog has white hair with red accents on it. The front is really cute, but I really like the back. It's very long, especially for these size dolls. They don't tend to get this long of hair. I really like the way that it like parts here in the back and has this kind of like dip of the red. This locks onto her face actually really well, because these are shaped like around these curved ears. But I did notice when I was fixing her that there is some red scuffs on her face, so the hair can leave some marks on the doll, so just be aware of that if you intend on swapping them around. She has clear-ish ears. They are the red, like I said, like hamster or like mouse ears. They have a little lightning bolt inside of them, and they do just a magnet to the head. What I noticed was really cute is that there's an S on it, which means that that's the south side of the magnet, which is really nice, probably helpful for them when they're constructing these to be able to tell that. There is this little plastic hair here. You can leave the veil behind it, or you can put it in front of it. If you leave it behind it, there's a little bit more space for the ears, but if you put it in front of it, you can actually put the ears on top of the veil. So it just kind of depends on how you want to display it. But again, keep in mind that these magnets are not super strong. They're strong enough, like they're not going to fall off on their own, but they are pretty easy to like just knock off. The veil is elastic around her head. It is about the same length as her hair. And like you can see, let me zoom out a little bit. That part here likes to kind of stand up. I don't know if over time that will lay down or if there's a way to kind of get it to ease itself down. Once you get these standing, they stay pretty well. Like I literally had these standing on my desk by themselves for like 8 hours, and as soon as I touch them, they like fall apart. But like I left them alone just standing here and they were perfectly fine. So the fact that they're falling over, like don't take that as like sign that they don't stand, because they do. I literally put them up, left for work, and then came home from work and they were still in place. So they can stand once they're not being jostled around. Anyway, like I was saying, her veil does kind of stand up a little bit, so that's why sometimes I will pull it forward, because if you can kind of pull it up here and then kind of use the ears to kind of keep that part down. I do apologize. I know the background keeps changing, but I keep having to film this video in segments because I either just don't have the time or I keep getting interrupted. So hopefully I'll be able to finish it out now, but I just want to apologize again also if there's a change in like my voice or anything, because recently for some reason my voice decided to give out for no reason. I haven't done anything excessive other than work a couple extra hours, and I sound like I've been choking gravel, so I do apologize for that in advance. But like I said, we're gonna press on. You can see though, I did take her veil off. Of course, I will be displaying her with the veil in the end when I put her up, but I wanted to take it off because it is quite a large piece and it kind of gets in the way of showing you the rest of her outfit. But here it is up close. As you can see, it still has this little part that kind of flows up and out. And then this part is also really light and fluffy and can kind of stick out too. I really think it's pretty and I like the material that it's made out of, but I just wish that this part would lay down a little bit better. If y'all have any tips or tricks for getting this fabric to kind of lay down without potentially damaging it, please let me know. I don't want to have to like sew it, but if that's where it comes to, I guess I'll have to. I find that if I put it back here kind of behind this little hair piece, it doesn't stick up as bad. It still sticks up, but this piece definitely makes it more exaggerated. And then I'll show you her staff, which she can hold with the tack, but if you're moving her, it's gonna fall out, so that's why I don't have it in her hand right now. As you can see, it is a white and red design. There is a heart here in the center, which is why it leads me to believe which one that it matches. Again, I don't have this exact series, but I do actually have another wand incoming. I used my Kika Goods rewards points to get a accessory set for the Magic Beast series, which of course I'll be using for these two because I don't have any other dolls from that set. But as you can see, it kind of goes red and then white and then back to red, which I really like. There is a heart here in the middle. There's also star designs all over it. They do have this cute wing design, which I like, has this extra like red dip at the back. I really like the colors on this doll. However, they can potentially stain your doll. So just be advised of that if that's something that would bother you. Like obviously most of this red on here is blushing, but if I were to take this faceplate off, you can actually see that right next to her ear is a red scuff, which I may be able to get off, but it is the paint from this part of the wig. So just be aware that that is something that could happen. Because I don't plan on changing these dolls, I plan on leaving them as they are. It does not bother me, just like it doesn't with most of my, even like my Playline dolls. If I don't plan on like redressing them, I don't really mind if something is stained. I don't think it should do that, but I don't mind it because I won't see it. You know, out of sight, out of mind, essentially. But with that in mind, we'll go ahead and review the doll. Like I said, minus the veil from head to toe. So she has a white to red hair design, which I did show off a little bit already, but I really like it, so I'm going to show it off again. I like how it kind of separates here. Like I said before, I believe this is part of the ram design, so it makes sense that it kind of separates into these like horn shapes. And I do like the details of like even the underside of some of her bangs have this like red tint to it. It really pulls this color scheme together. And then her ears are dipped in the red as well. And they have this kind of like elf shape with kind of these like bumpies at the bottom. Her face up is super cute. She has a little white star here on her cheek and then a little red one over her other eye. And of course you have the little red eyelid lines, which is really cute. That's something that I noticed with BJDs, is that they have these eyelid lines that like, I would say like most American dolls don't have. So I think that's really cute, an extra detail that they have. And then she has her white eyelashes and then her eyes are red, but because of the rest of her scheme being this white and red, they don't like stand out as like, you know, like red eyes. They just kind of match in with the rest of her color scheme. And then she has this cute little small mouth here, adorable tiny little pointy nose, and her cheeks are blushed as well as a little bit of blushing under her chin. Knocked the ear off. Again, they are just held on with magnets. And then she has on a white top, which is a separate piece from this skirt, and the skirt has these straps on it, so they're kind of an overall skirt. This charm comes attached to the top. It is a gold plated charm with a crystal in the center. She has a white skirt with red bows on it and a gold lace down the center, and then this white interwoven around it. And then there's this other layer underneath, which is white, but it has little silver threads throughout it, so it gives it a little bit of a shine, which is really pretty. And then I did put the gloved hands on them. I do really like these parts. I know that they can affect the mobility of the doll, which is why they do come with neutral hands that are in the same poses, but they don't have this glove part on them. But I just think the gloves just really enhance the character design. In their character cards, they don't have the gloves on, but I prefer the gloves. And then she has no bloomers, unfortunately, because I do believe that the rest of this series comes with bloomers, because you can see it again on the instruction sheet that they have the bloomers, and then they show you how to put the tails on through the bloomers. So I wish that they did, but at the same time, at least their skirts are full enough that you can't see underneath them, so it's not that big of a deal. But I just aesthetically really like bloomers, so I wish that they had them. And then she has these net socks on, which again they both have. they do tie in the back. Right now I have this one in a bow. This one I accidentally double knotted. So you probably could, if you want to keep these on, like double knot them and then cut these threads, because these are so long for how tiny these dolls are, which is why I tried to bow them. But even bowing them, they're super long. So they're just kind of a lot. And then on the back here, she does have a tail. I'm just going to turn her head so we can see, because her hair is so long. She does have a tail. This is the only part on her that I've really had too much issue with that isn't like expected, I would say, because it keeps coming out of the socket. And thankfully right now I finally maybe got it in where it's not going to come back out. Like, because I don't mind like the staff falling, whatever, like that's not supposed to be attached to her. It's just an accessory, but this is supposed to be attached to her. So the fact that it kept popping out was the only thing that I kind of was bothering me. But like I said, I can move it now and it doesn't seem to be coming out. Oh, there it goes. See? But at the same time, if I push it too far past the joint, I'd rather it pop out than break. But I mean that it was just popping out without me like really doing anything to it. So, and they just have this little hole in the back and you just stick it in. And then the cool thing is with their clothes, because they're actually designed to have the tails and they considered the tails when they made them, they gave them separate little Velcro patches. So there's a little one down here, then the gap for the tail, and then another one up at the top. So the dress still fits. It's not like gapping wide open, but there is a hole just specifically for their tail, so you don't have to make one, which is really nice. But as you can see, it is also on a ball joint, or technically a mechanical joint. It rolls around and it can move up and down. Again, it just can only go so far, but it is made out of the clear reddish pink resin, or whatever material that this is. I'm not 100% sure. And then she has another piece of that same material for her bustle piece. It is almost exactly the same construction. So you have a longer piece, a smaller piece, and then a red bow. But instead of it going onto that headband, it goes onto a snap on the back of her dress, which I really appreciate that it is a snap, because then it's nice and secure and it looks nice and clean too. I understand why they can't use snaps all the time, because they can get quite bulky, but I really appreciate it when it's done right. I'm really curious, because it honestly to me looks like it's slightly different. I was wondering if it was exactly the same piece, just whether they put it on a snap or on a headband, but it is slightly longer on the bustle piece. It has a little bit more pointed, where this is a little bit more rounded. Other than that, it's basically the same. The back of her shirt does Velcro as well. So the only snap is the one that's on the bow, which also the snap part makes it so that if you wanted to, you could technically mix and match a piece from her outfit and a piece from her outfit. I mean, not that you couldn't anyway, as far as like you could like switch the tops or switch the skirts or the socks. You could like half and half them, which would be probably pretty cute. I do have a tendency to like mix designs like that. But for these, because they are specific like characters, I'm definitely going to be keeping them the way that they are. But the wings on her, I will show you them in a minute when I like go over her, but her wings are her snap piece. So you could put the little black wings on her dress, and I think that would actually be like really cute. And then the last thing I want to show you before we move on is her feet. So she has the little paw feet. So they have these 3 little toes and then this little pad area in the center. With these feet, they are very specific, so they probably couldn't wear any shoes unless they were specifically for this style of feet. And unfortunately, they do not come with any like spare feet, because some of them will if they come in like feet that are kind of shoe size. But at the same time, because of the way that these are built, because of them having the like the thicker legs, which I don't know if I pointed out the little fur knobs on them, super cute. But because of these having the thicker legs, like they kind of need the big feet in order to stand, which again, perfectly fine with me, because they're meant to be little beastie animals. And like, so they have these perfect little beastie feet for them, and they stand really nicely. Like I said, once you get them in the position, they stay there and you don't have to worry about them. So I don't mind them. It's just that if you don't like them, they don't come with an alternative. Does that make sense? So for me, that's not a negative, but it's just something that I like to point out in case it would be a negative for you. All right, so now we're going to go on to epilog. For her headpiece, it's much smaller, but it's also a bit more elaborate because it is a bunch of ruffles. And she has the black bow on the top and then red ruffles on the side that kind of look like flowers. And then she's the one I had a lot more trouble with the ears, the horns kind of getting pushed off because of her headpiece here. Because in the pictures, they make it look like the horns like go on top of the headpiece, but it's just so full and thick that it really just doesn't fit. I can see so these are their acrylic standees, which I'll show a little bit more, but I can see that they have the bow sitting further back on her. So how I have her usually is actually correct, but you can see they show it with the horns like on top of the veil or on top of the headpiece here, and I just wasn't getting that to work. Maybe your experience might be different and you may be able to get that to work for you, but for right now I just have them placed on behind it. I'm going to pull this forward so we can see those better. They are black and red, so they match into her hair, and you can see they do sit a little bit more forward than that. The magnets are a little bit more up here. But again, the elastic on the veil is just really strong and pushes them back. You can see the little star designs in them, which is really cute. And then she has this really interesting like a moon design here as like a little barrette, but it's still the same color as like her hair. And I love the style for this one's hair because it's a big bow, but it's a hair bow, but it also looks like wings at the same time. Like there's just so much going on, but at the same time, like it's still super readable, and I just really appreciate that. I love the black and red accents and the switching back and forth all over of it. She has black tips for the ends of her bangs, and then of course her horn. She has the same shape ears as the others, but hers are dipped in black. And then here is her face. I'm actually going to take the front plate off so you can see a little bit closer. So she has black little eyebrows. She has black eyelashes, and then this spiderweb design all around the outside of this one, and then underneath on this one. And there's even a little bitty spider. Like, how cute is that? And she does have the little droopy eyes, and then her mouth is also small, but it's a little bit more downturned as opposed to a little O mouth. And then she also has the itty bitty teeny tiny nose, which I think is so cute. If you want to see, there's the magnets for where the horns go. But as you can see, those are super easy to put on and off. And unlike some other dolls that I've experienced, the heads stay on pretty well. Let me take her veil and put it back up so we can look at her outfit. And then her outfit is going to be the same as Prolog's, just in black. So it has the same kind of like top, but then she has these little bit longer, thinner sleeves. But she has the same bow design and then the same crystal and gold piece in the middle. She has a little black skirt with a gold thread down the center and red bows. And then there is a black layer with silver threads in it to give it a little bit of that extra shine. Again, I did put the gloved hands on them. Hers are semi-opaque with a little hint of red in the edges, which I think are really cute. I just, again, absolutely adore the glove designs. I think they just really elevate these dolls to the next level. And then her stockings are black. Again, same thing, they just tie on in the back. And she has the same leg design, so you have the same like tufts of fur, but then she has these little red and black hoof feet that are made of the same kind of like color shifty material that the gloves are. I just think it's so cool. And then the bottom of her foot is a little heart. And then she has her tail in the back, which I haven't had too much issue with her tail. It's hard to see it because there's so much going on here. But there is actually a star design right here on the top of her tail. So can you see that? The star design, there it is. See it? But because her tail's kind of clear, you can also see the peg. So that's why it's having a hard time focusing on it, but it's there. And then like I was saying when I was talking about Prolog, is that this part right here actually snaps off. So you can actually swap that. So this is rather than being like another piece of Velcro or anything though, it is a nice secure snap. As you can see, it is placed a little bit off to the side, which is nice because then that means they actually lay properly because the snap is a little bit off to the side. So I really love that attention to detail. Also, now that I'm holding them, I'm feeling that there is a little bit of a wire in there. So you can even pose these, which is phenomenal. And then she has these 2 side veils going off to the sides. They are the same material as the white veil on Epilog. They just have, obviously, the black dye on them instead. She has the same design to the dress as well, where there's plenty of space for the tail, the 2 separate Velcro pieces, the Velcro on the back of the shirt, and then, of course, like I was just talking about, the little snap here on the wings. And then you can just kind of press them down, pose them where you like. Of course, it would fit a little bit better if there was a snap on the other side as well to hold them down, and that's something you can always add yourself. I still appreciate that they are snapped properly so that they actually are lined up flatly on her back, as opposed to them putting the snap in the middle and then them being like lopsided over here. Again, does not come with any bloomers, which I would have liked if they did just because of the aesthetic, but I understand that they don't really need them because they're fully covered with their dresses. Since I spoke so much about like a lot of the little details with Prolog, I don't need to say too many of them with Epilog because again, most of the details are the same, just in black. The biggest difference is really her hair. Then here is her staff, which is black and red again, of course. So these are actually completely unique to them in a sense that they are not only color swaps, but they also have gem swaps. So if I mention other potential matches, other parts in the video, just know that at least based on this image up here at the top, that's what these 2 are based on. Here is the bottom of her staff. It's this little bit of a curl, and like I said, it kind of has like tiny little zigzags back and forth, and then it has this big kind of almost clam shape to it, almost made out of like wings. They're kind of holding that crystal in place, and it has some diamond designs on the back. Again, a lot of the details are kind of hard to see on camera just because of the like lighting and everything else, but I promise they are there. Before we go into final thoughts, I'm going to show you their standees. So we have our little black one here. Again, as you can see in their character cards, that these equivalent to their character cards, I should say. And you can see that they just have their neutral hands on. If anything, she looks like she doesn't have a hand on at all, which I think is kind of funny. And then this one's holding the staff. And they are sitting on these like little clocks with a fence line behind them. And as you can kind of see, she's sitting a little bit further back from where it says Penny's box. That's because she's sitting up like right in front of it, so that when they sit next to each other, they kind of like fit together, as opposed to just being standing next to each other. They literally like fit on top of each other. But you can see that it is the same design. So she's sitting on a clock with the fence and the flowers around her. It's just color swapped to gold instead of silver. And then the base is white and red instead of black and white. So these are super cute. I really like this like extra detail. Again, I feel like that's a nice like addition, since they are a limited edition / special edition doll, for them to have like this like extra piece as opposed to just like a little cardboard card that most of the BJDs come with. So I think that's all until final thoughts. As a reminder, I did pay $64 for these, which is about $5 more than the base price on Kika Goods, but do keep in mind that is both pre-tax and pre-shipping for both of those prices. So after everything is added up, they are about the same price. But again, I do personally recommend ordering from Kika Goods if you have the patience that I did not have, because these end up becoming a very big test of my patience, which is the whole reason why I had ordered them from the place that was supposed to ship them quickly. Also, as a reminder, you can purchase them individually or you can purchase them separately, but individually you get a better price for them, and that does appear to be both on Kika Goods and on Amazon. I will be leaving the links down below. I am not affiliated with Penny's Box, with Antu, with Kika Goods, with Amazon, any of those things. I spent my own money, but for your convenience, I will be adding the listing, at least the one for Kika Goods. We'll see if I decide to add the one for Amazon. I may just make you look that up yourself if you're interested, because that's how upset I am with the experience that I had with getting these. But again, that put aside, we're going to ignore what happened with Amazon because that is not their fault. And we're going to just focus on my final thoughts on the dolls themselves. And I think that they are stunning. I think they're a really good set. I love how much they match together. These acrylic standees are really great. My biggest and like only complaint that I have is I wish that they did a better job of holding their staffs, and that's such a minor complaint. And then the fabric here, I wish it kind of laid down, but again, I'm sure that there's a way to get it to do it. I just don't know what that is, so if you let me know, that would be so appreciated. But just like any of the other BJDs that I've seen, and again, these are my first pennies box, so these are the first ones I've had in hand, but I've watched a lot of videos about them and they seem like they always do such a great job. They're nice, high quality. They have so many details. Like, look at the little like nails on the little bear paws. Like, they're so precious. And I'm just a huge fan of, even though I personally don't customize by BJDs, I'm such a big fan of the fact that you can, if that makes any sense. It's just like the fact that that's an option, just I appreciate so much. So, and I know I've shown you this like a bunch of times, but this side here is the side showing you like that you can kind of mix and match the pieces with other panties box designs. So like one, it's not just within their own set, it's also within any of the other sets that Penny Box creates, which I think is so cool and so much fun and allows so much opportunity. And especially like these ones specifically, like because of them being a special edition ones, you know what you're getting. There's no like surprise to it. But I do like the fact that BJDs are so mix and match, especially specifically these like all these blind box style ones, because then if you do somehow end up with duplicates, it's not as big of a deal because you can just essentially take those parts and customize them into your own doll, which is I will be talking a little bit more about in my Macari video that will be coming up, because I do kind of have basically a custom doll from that order. So that's just an overall on these BJDs in general, but specifically these ones, their faces are so precious, and I love how the red like brings both of them together. And again, they have the same like outfits and accessories, but yet at the same time they clearly have their own personalities. They're just so beautiful and well done, and I love the gradients in their hair. And I don't know, I just can't like say enough about them and how beautiful they are. I hope I'm making sense, but I'm just so happy to have these in my collection. And again, their story just adds to their lore, right? As with everything else, it doesn't detract from them, it just adds to their story. And I'm so happy to have these two. They definitely are a good size for, I have one of the walk the doll bags, and I can fit both of these together in there and then carry them around. So it's really nice. They make really good photography. I'll show you some pictures at the end. But I'm just so happy to have them and finally be done with it. So thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed these cuties as much as I do. Please don't forget to do everything like, comment, and subscribe. Again, something as simple as a like really can change the direction of this channel, so I definitely appreciate it. And thank you so much. Bye. And don't forget to wait till the end to see what we're going to unbox next.